Welcome back to a very unique layout of this track. 23 laps of Watkins Glen, the layout that has no boot and no bus stop. Extremely fast. You can work together, you can play the long game, or you can battle constantly. Through this video, you'll see just about every situation come out. I want to walk you guys through qualifying just to see the track so you guys know what's going on and we can refer to these points throughout the video. Turn 1, basically like a 90-degree right-hander. You want to use that curb on the inside and a lot of this curb on the outside. As long as you keep one tire on that red and yellow curbing, you should be good. Really important to have a good exit because this leads to, up these S's, but ultimately down the very, very long back straight as there is no bus stop. So we're going to go straight into turn 5, which is this very long right-hander as we go around basically a carousel down to third gear and getting on throttle early. We actually get on throttle a little bit too early in this instance, just barely managed to keep it on track there. You can use all of that runoff through the penultimate corner. It's almost a 90-degree left-hander followed by basically a 90-degree right-hander. All of these corners feel pretty basic. It's a very simple track, very, very fast track, and a short one as well at a 106.9 for our qualifying, 106.94, which was good enough to put us on pole. The car starting in P2 in the Dirk Schutten livery, Ryan Sharpless is the name, car number 3. He is going to be a main character throughout not only this race, but all of these races today, and you can see that it's kind of just me and him in the running for the lead, or so it seems, as everybody else was about 4/10 behind in qualifying. The jump for us is, no surprise, not very good. So we're gonna actually just settle behind into turn 1. So that pole really meant nothing, and we start the race basically in P2 after that terrible launch. Now, just getting right to the meat and potatoes of this race, which is basically all going to be on the back straight here. I'm staying on the outside following Ryan, looking for a move up the inside, but my intention was not actually to get past Ryan. It was more to go side by side with Ryan to completely defend the opportunity that the car behind could have had to make a move on me. If the two cars at the front are side by side, there's not really room for the car in P3 to make anything happen. Now, on to lap number 2, hopping on board with the car in P5 currently, Dynaco McQueen, really just running into the back of that black and orange car, giving him damage on the rear end and sending himself extremely deep out of the exit of turn 1. And that rear end damage for the car in P4, car number 11, I think affected him to the point to where he just could not get the car turned, or at least at this instance on turn 5 he couldn't, and that's going to drop him off of myself, Ryan, and Matt Howard, who is the car in P3. Now, I was on voice chat with Ryan, full disclosure, and our goal here was to try and break away from Matt. So you'll see a bit of team racing, but it won't last forever, trust me. Now, through the final 2 corners of that track, we pull a couple of tenths on Matt, and it kind of seemed like that would be the theme. We were quicker through that final sector for sure, but down the straight, it is just so hard to pull away from somebody if they're in slip. Even though I'm sitting in the slip of Ryan and I'm pushing him all of the way down, the force of me pushing him is slowing me down a little bit, and therefore at the front, we're never going to be moving quite as quickly down that straight as the car behind us, who has a lot of room to just soak up that slipstream and push for absolute heater laps. Now, skipping ahead to lap number 18, so pretty deep into this race, you can see that it's begun to rain. A little bit of spray was kicking up from our tires, and on board with Matt, he's still hanging in there. He is within slipstream range, but as we cross onto lap number 19, that gap to Matt, sitting at around 9/10 to a second, is slowly going to open up. I think he was being a bit cautious in the wet, which is a good thing to do. We are on slick tires, all of us. It was dry for 85% of this race. It just now started to rain. There is this lap and then 4 more left, so we're basically at the end of the race. This is lap 19 of 23. I'm still pushing Ryan because I want to try and get out of the slipstream range from Matt Howard behind before I try and make a move on Ryan. It's kind of senseless for me to start fighting with Ryan and just introduce another player into this battle for the lead and possibly open up myself to the opportunity of falling down to P3. So I want to try and pull away from Matt. It seems like it's going to be more and more possible as I am driving fairly reserved through the wet, and we're still slowly opening up that gap to Matt Howard. Now, through the final corner, you have to watch out for that yellow line. It wasn't quite wet enough yet, but once it really starts to get wet, you put a tire on that yellow line and you just slide, you just understeer, basically straight into the wall. On board with Matt through turn 1, and it doesn't look bad. It actually looks really, really clean, but I think that's kind of part of the problem. Once it starts to get wet, you have to push the limits a little bit harder, and like it should start to get a little bit sketchy. This is lap 21, and by this time we have put Matt completely out of the slipstream range. He's 2.5 seconds behind. We have this lap, 2 more to go, so we're about to head on to the penultimate lap. And I have a bad habit of waiting until the final lap to make a move. So often, I shouldn't say it's a bad habit, but it begins to be a bad habit when you are too reserved even on that final lap and you're not able to get that position done. So I had kind of made it up in my head that I was going to attack on this lap, and rough start to it, as going through that final corner, I got my tire on that line, a little bit of a slide. Honestly, the more I think about it, I think that might have actually helped me, because it opened up the gap to Ryan to just about that golden range of about 3/10. And on top of that, he gets a really bad run through the S's there as he cut in early. There's a bit of a puddle at the bottom of the S's, so you might have seen him go a little bit deep on that first apex. We just managed to avoid that and have a huge run on him. We're going to move to the outside, heading into turn 5 for the penultimate time. Ryan is slowly going to open that up and kind of stays in the middle of the track there to try and give himself a better chance at keeping the position through this corner. I'm going to send it extremely deep, try and hook my tires on that complete dry patch on the outside, end up going a bit too deep. Ryan is completely ahead of me, but going into that penultimate corner, I'm going to move up the inside, and he actually does open up that inside, kind of inviting me to take it, and he's going to settle behind. But as he does that, he does get a little bit of a slide, which is going to put his speed down going into that final corner. He has a good gap, but if I get a really solid run through turn 1 and he doesn't get the greatest, this could very easily be my race in the bag. Final lap, I've got a 4/10 gap. If I could open that up by 1/10 through this first corner, we should be golden. And through the first corner, I am going to do the complete opposite of it, just completely fuck up everything in every way, miss the apex, go deep, and get loose on the exit. So just really killing my speed, and we've lost 2/10. On top of that, I'm going to drive into that puddle that Ryan drove into on the previous lap, so he now has the far superior run going up the hill, and I have pretty much cooked myself. He's going to look to go around the outside. There's not a ton I can do in this situation. If he holds it around the outside of T5, he has the inside for the penultimate corner, which basically gives you the race. Little bit of contact on entry as I'm really trying to squeeze every inch out that I can, making contact as we go through turn 5. Pretty aggressive from myself, but honestly, I think that was just about the only option I had in order to stay ahead, heading towards the penultimate corner. And as we go into it, he is going to look up the inside. There's just enough space allowed, and I completely misjudge my entrance as I go shipping it way too deep, trying to make sure that I stay alongside into the final corner, which I do. However, the inside for this final corner is really not the optimal place to be, because you can see that he opens up his steering. I was too reserved in mine and don't get the run I need. Crossing the line in P2, Ryan takes the dub on this one. Overall, super fun race, super fun last lap, and the strategy was just, I mean, I guess that's kind of what this track is. It's more like a game of chess than it is as technical as a lot of other tracks. Now, we did gain I rating, lost some safety rating, and I wanted to go again, so we hopped back into the next one, and for this one, I'm starting on pole. Ryan is 2 cars behind us this time, and behind Ryan, the times taper off pretty quickly, so it seemed like it would be 3 or 4 guys running in this top group. I'm going to try and lead that group going into turn 1. Again, don't get a great launch. Ryan gets a fantastic one as he jumps P2, ends up going 3 wide into turn 1 as the car starting in P4 found his way up the inside. I take an off track there to try and separate myself as much as possible. Ryan is side by side behind, heading 2 wide into the S's. Never a situation you want to be in. He does have the inside for the top of the hill though, which will see him slide ahead as I think the car behind also lifted a little bit. That does allow car number 3 here to have a superior run to both of them. He also has the double slipstream. He's going to pull to the outside. Is it going to be enough? I'm going to pull to the inside up ahead to try and help Ryan out, give him a little bit of slipstream, and I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but he does end up remaining in P2, or claiming P2, I should say, as we go around to turn 5 for the first time. Now, we have half of a second gap, but that doesn't really mean much on this track because the cars behind will be pushing with half a second. Like, you're gaining slipstream as well, so it's extremely hard to pull away just like on sheer pace. Lap number 2, and this is a good example of how hard, just like very clearly how hard it is to pull away. Starting this straight about half of a second ahead of Ryan and this guy behind him, but they're pushing down the straight. Ryan has the slipstream, and by the end of it, I pretty much realized that this is going to be a battle between a much larger group than I anticipated. That group will get slightly smaller as at the end of lap 3, car number 6 goes sliding into the pit lane. That is about as bad of an accident as you can have. You do get a black flag when you slide into the penalty or into the pit like that. Start of lap number 4, Ryan gets a really bad turn 1. It's not going to make too much of a difference. He falls a couple of tenths off of me, but as we just covered, he's got the slipstream. This guy behind him will probably end up pushing him. He actually ends up not quite sure what happened there. Maybe he hit the rev limiter, but he slows down a lot. The car behind hits him on the straight, and our group is reduced down to myself, Ryan, and that silver car currently in P3, Samuel, who is still hanging on. Tice has completely fallen off. The next closest car is 2 seconds behind Eric, or behind Samuel. So we're pretty much locked in as a group of 3 at this point. As long as we don't fight, there should be no way that the cars past P3 are able to catch up to us. You can see that pretty large gap forming. Lap number 8, and yeah, we did exactly that. We ran as a group, no fighting. Mentioned it already, Ryan and myself were on comms, so we were kind of working together throughout the beginning of these races to try and make it a 2-horse race. Now, try as we might, it was very hard to drop Samuel, the car in P3, who we're on board with, and you can see as the laps go on, he's just he's gaining such a small amount of time as you make up a lot of time on the straights, and then we would kind of gain it back, open up that gap through the final sector, but eventually he was just too close, to the point to where the slipstream outweighed any amount of time that we would gain through the corners. So it was going to be a 3-way battle for the lead of the race, and this is the end of the penultimate lap, so we're skipping straight to the end here because it was a lot of just running clean laps. You can see that P4 is 15 seconds behind. We are locked in. It's going to be one of the 3. Hopefully, it's going to be one of the 3, and we don't all 3 kill each other. We're going to ride on board with Ryan as he comes across to start his final lap, and we have a okay gap. It's kind of similar to last race in that I need to have an amazing turn 1. I need him to really fuck it up if I want to have a chance of defending turn 5, because with that slipstream, once it kicks in, he is going to be absolutely hauling ass towards us. He doesn't get a great turn 1. We actually pretty much nailed ours, and it seems like it's going to be pretty close. I would say even at this point, he's about 2.5 tenths. Maybe now he's about 2 tenths. And it's closing so fast. It's crazy to watch. I moved to the inside to try and avoid slip for what I can. He's going to try and hold me tight. I'm going to force the issue a little bit, making contact and trying to pry a door open for myself on the inside as we go through turn 5. He has a nose ahead. I'm trying to push out early, but there's no way at this point that I'm able to get my car ahead. We are completely side by side going through turn 5, on board with P3 as he's watching the battle play out, and it is a disaster for me. He has the inside for the penultimate corner. I'm going to try the same thing again. Just push deep as much as I can, make sure that I have my car alongside into that final corner, and I just really have to try and get on throttle early, open up my steering and use as much spacing as possible. And I don't know if you saw my steering through the window just now, but I went into a complete slide through that final corner. The rear end was totally loose, little bit too early on the throttle, I think, and once again, Ryan's going to cross in P1. I'm going to cross in P2. Very, very similar situation to that last race, which was a good race, and so was this one. So 2 very fun races in a row, which was awesome. Really just fun final laps. The rest of the race was fairly boring. It was just slipping and pushing around, but I wanted to go one more time. Before we get into that race, I loaded into the session, and Jeff Saville, who you've probably seen on the channel, reached out, said he loved the livery, and I just want to give a shout out to the livery designer. If you want a sick livery, go check out his stuff in the description. Now, Joey is in this race, starting in P2. I'm starting on pole, and then Ryan is in P3. We were all on VC to start this race, but we all muted immediately because I wanted to fight, and I think all of us did, just constant battling. So no more of the team orders pushing each other around the track. And to get it started, I'm gonna get a terrible launch, motherfucker. Joey goes through, so I'm down into P2, taking a semi-defensive line into T1 to avoid Ryan making a dive, and we do manage to stay attached to Joey. There's some shit going down behind us, but we have nothing to do with it, and it's not our problem. Our only problem right now is the fact that Joey is currently ahead of us, and typically, this is not smart racing. You would not normally do this, but I'm just gonna go for the move right away because fuck everything. I wanted to fight, and you will see a ton of fighting through this race. We get it done around the outside, completely moving ahead of Joey before the braking zone, and we have that position locked in, back into the lead of the race after a pretty terrible launch that saw us go down to P2. And as you've seen in the past couple of races, most of everything is going to go down at turn 5. Occasionally, through the penultimate corner and the final corner, there will be something happening, but it's not the smartest place to make a move unless it's for the lead of the race. Lap number 2, we're going to get straight back to the back straight as Joey is flying up behind us with that slipstream, and he's going to move initially to the center of the track and then pull all of the way to the outside. I am then going to move to the center, try and use up as much space as I can here to give myself the best chance at defending this position, and we're going to go flying into T5, try and push the car out early, but Joey just manages to keep that nose alongside, and it's got to be given space there. So he has the inside now for the penultimate corner, and I've got PTSD of this situation. And around the outside, am I going to try it again? Indeed I am. Is it going to be any different than any of the other times? It doesn't look like it. I go super deep. I opt to try something a little bit different here. I kind of check up with the car behind Jeff there, as I just wanted to make sure I met that apex. My intention was not to slow down Jeff. I feel pretty bad about that because it puts him in a really awkward situation. We are now in P3, and now Jeff is side by side battling for P4 behind us, and he's going to lose that position as the other guy has the inside, and we follow Ryan and Joey through. We didn't get a great exit there, got a bit loose. It doesn't really matter because the slipstream will hold us in that tow. And as we come down this back straight, I also want to highlight just briefly a lot of other people who were in this race with us that are also members of the Discord. We had like so many people in here. Renee, car number 7 behind Jeff, and then not too far behind him we have Sam, who's running the old PB&J livery despite it not having a spec map, and then we have Zach and Kyle, these two behind them. So there was a ton of people. If you guys want to do some races with us, possibly end up getting into a video, join the Discord, link in the description, and yeah, we'll be in there every now and then. Now, interesting topic to cover over the course of this next lap. You guys have seen these past couple of races where I'm getting overtaken on the outside, or I'm overtaking people on the outside of turn 5, and you might be thinking at some point, why doesn't that lead car just defend the outside? And I'm going to show you why, or well, Ryan is going to show you why, because Joey is going to try that. He's going to try to defend around the outside, but the problem is that the overspeed that you have as that car behind gets you so far ahead by the time that you reach the braking zone that as the car on the outside, you are now not only on the outside, but you are basically a full car length behind. So there's nothing Joey can do. Like, as early as he could possibly get on throttle there, it is going to be extremely hard for him to hold the side-by-side situation there. So Ryan goes ahead as we move on to lap number 5, and this lap has another interesting topic to cover. A bit different, but just as interesting. When you're on a straight and there's a car ahead of you, you have slipstream. When you have 2 cars ahead of you, you have the same amount of slipstream, but once that car in P2 makes a decision, because he's the first one who's going to have to make a decision, is he going to push or is he going to go to the outside? If he pushes, I go to the outside and go around both of them. If he moves to the outside, I now have more slipstream, and I'm able to kind of get double slipstream. A hole opens up in the middle down the straight, and we go flying through. Joey has almost no chance that far out. There's not enough grip or camber, and I managed to slide ahead of Ryan as well. And bada bing, bada boom, baby. We're up into the lead of the race. 2 positions at the end of the straight. Absolutely lovely move. Super satisfying move. Joey does get around the outside of Ryan there as well. So Ryan ends up falling down 2 positions. Joey has remained where he is, and the 2 cars around him have just swapped. So back into the lead of the race as we cross on to lap number 6. and it's going to be a situation that has played out so many times. I've got cars right on my ass. I'm holding the inside. Joey is going to move to the middle of the track, try and open the track up for himself in the braking zone, and I try and pull over as soon as I realize that he has done that, but it's too little, too late. I'm going to try and save it by getting on throttle early and seeing if I can slide ahead of Joey, but he's keeping that front bumper alongside, and I'm just not able to force the issue any more than that. So he now has the inside for the penultimate corner. I'm on the outside, and I'm going to end up settling behind this time, but way overslowing, and now I have Ryan side by side. Same exact situation that's played out in those past 2 races on the final lap. My goal is slightly different here. You can see I'm not opening up my steering. That's because I've got car number 10 who is kind of looking for a switch back there, so I'm trying to defend him while simultaneously staying side by side with Ryan. End up maintaining a semi-defensive line into turn 1 and backing out behind Ryan, settling into P3, so he's up into P2. Joey has made a bit of a dash, 8/10 in front of Ryan, but that shouldn't be much of a problem. I'm able to push Ryan. Ryan's able to ride that slipstream. We'd still have to do a lot of fighting to totally lose Joey. However, Joey's got a good strat going here as he pulls to the inside halfway down the straight to pull Ryan, and I decide, fuck it, I'm going to go around the outside. Then he moves back to give me slip, and he's trying to pit us against each other, which I'm all for. I want to fight as much as humanly possible. Around turn 5, super tight between me and Ryan, but a little too tight actually for my liking as the outside car there. I think it's a bit more optimal to go a little bit wide initially and get on throttle as early as possible and just get a good run towards the penultimate corner. So I settle back into P3. Thankfully don't lose that position to Cameron Best, who is the car behind in P4. His last name is Best, Cameron Best. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this race, we weren't on voice comms for the race. We were in voice comms outside of the race, but we all deafened and muted for the race because we wanted to just have pure raw fighting against each other. And Joey's pulled to the outside here. You can see Ryan is defending the inside, even though we're 8/10 behind Joey. I want to say that my goal would have been to just push him anyway, but realistically, I might have just looked to make that move because I made the move on the last lap, so I see why Ryan wasn't trusting me. Back onto the straight for the next lap, lap number 10, and Ryan is following in Joey's slip. I'm in a curious position here, moving to the inside. Ryan moves to defend it, and I'm kind of back and forth here, looking for a hole to open up. The inside was looking like it was there, but it would have been an absolutely gargantuan send and probably ended up in death, so I'm going to settle behind. And just having the look like that sometimes, I mean, it's still worth it. You're applying pressure in one way or another. Onto the next lap, and they're swerving all down the front straight, trying to avoid giving each other slipstream and giving me slipstream. It's getting quite racy, and we're not even halfway through the race. There's been so many moves already, and there was still so many more to come. Moment of appreciation for iRacing and the fact that it allows us to do this kind of thing. This felt like I was karting with friends, like I had my helmet on, you can't talk to anybody. It just felt like you were like rental karting, having fun at a track. Now, as I'm saying that, Ryan completely clears Joey, and Joey actually pulls to look to go around the outside of turn 5. It's going to be tough to do as he was not quite, I mean, he was pretty much completely behind Ryan going into that corner, so it was a good effort, but not enough to get that position. Lap number 13, we are starting to get caught up by everybody as the group is condensing with all of the position swapping going on at the front here. I get a pretty bad run through turn 1. Joey got a really good one though, and I'm hoping that something can go down between the 2 cars ahead and open up an opportunity for me. In reality, I would need them to just about completely murder each other, because even if they ran into each other, sent each other wide into T5, the chances of them falling back so far that they can't catch up in the next 10 laps, because there's 10 laps left, was extremely slim. Ryan completely defending the inside, and I think Joey was actually pushing him down the straight, not looking to make a move on this occasion. After a couple of laps of making moves back and forth, it's smart to take a few to settle down, let your tires cool off a little bit. You do tend to overheat them slowly as you continuously make moves. Although, as I'm saying that, Joey is peeping up the inside of the penultimate corner, not looking to make the move, but displaying pressure for sure. And I am dealing with some of that pressure myself, courtesy of Cameron, who is 1/10 behind me. As we come around to that back straight on the next lap, Cameron is pushing us down the straight, and everybody is on the inside here. At the very end of the straight, Joey and Cameron both pull to the outside. Joey looking to make this work around the outside. Really, like, It's hard to describe. I've tried to describe it. When you're on the outside and you're ahead or side by side, you have a really good chance. But if you're not side by side or don't have a nose ahead, it is extremely hard to make that move work. And Joey was continuously trying to make that happen, but it just was not working out for him. Rounding out to lap number 15, and it's another example of the benefits and like the pros and cons of every position, right? You're controlling the lead of the race when you're at the front. You're controlling the race as a whole. As P2, you have the best opportunity to make a one-on-one move. You're the closest to the front, but you also have to make that first decision. And Joey is going to make the decision to pull out and try and go around Ryan instead of pushing him, which opens up the opportunity for me as the car in P3 to react to that decision. And I decide to push Ryan because Ryan's already ahead. So Joey is getting completely left out to dry. He's going to look to go around the outside again, though, while not really being completely like evenly alongside. He was just, I barely had a nose ahead, and it's going to see him fall behind once again as he just really wanted to force that move around the outside. Respect to him. I love going around the outside. It's amazing. And when you make it work from a disadvantageous position, such as having a nose behind or even not even being alongside and getting a move done around the outside, I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. It just wasn't happening for him, but he was trying it over and over and over again. Lap number 16, and we have conjured the super ultra mega slipstream train. I'm in the middle, and for what seems like an ungodly reason, I'm going to pull to the outside and look to make that psychopathic move that Joey has been trying. But the only reason I'm doing that is because I know that Joey is a psychopath, and he would have tried that move if I didn't do that, and I would have been fucked because I had no room between myself and Ryan. So I basically would have been backed up by Ryan or ran into Ryan, and I didn't want to do that. Peeping to the inside of the penultimate corner, it seems like it's not doing much, but maybe that pressure has something to do with the fact that he drives into the grass on the final corner, goes extremely deep there, and is now on the back foot. As we cross on to lap number 17, we have the outside for turn 1. Not really where you want to be. You can make it work around the outside, but it's a bit tough. If you take the off track, you can definitely make this happen for yourself, but I take it pretty reserved, really reserved actually, and don't get the speed out of there that I was really looking for. Try and lift at the bottom of the yeses, and Joey actually tries to force the issue for just a moment before lifting himself, and we finally all settle into a line. The line is growing. You can see there's about 6 people all within a second of each other, maybe even less than that. We are pushing Ryan down the straight. Joey's got 2 people on his tail. He's being pushed by Cameron Best. I am going to pull to the outside, do a little bit of swerving, and eventually just completely ship it around the outside on Ryan. Try this move one more time, and it is actually going to work from behind him around the outside into turn 5, and that type of move, you're really just relying on the car on the inside overslowing, which eventually everybody does, basically. Like, at some point in a race, somebody is going to overslow just a little bit if you keep forcing that same move, and it finally does happen. However, Ryan has the inside for the final corner, which, as we've covered, has a disadvantageous position, and you'll see that play out here as I'm able to open up my steering and get on throttle earlier. We're just about 3 wide, crossing onto lap number 18. Ryan's going to end up tucking behind. He's side by side with Joey. Really good situation for me, hoping they're going to fight. However, Ryan ends up backing out, letting Joey through, so I do gain a little bit of a gap, but it's not going to stand, and this group is just absurd behind me. Like, from Joey to P6 is like 0.4 seconds, 0.5 seconds. It's something crazy. I'm swerving down the straight to try and avoid them putting a move on me, but Joey is going to look around the outside. He's got a lot of overspeed, and he sends it a bit deep initially. I get on throttle. I'm going to maintain the lead. Ryan is just about looking to challenge Joey for P2, but not quite going to get it. The cone's getting obliterated behind as we cross towards the end of that lap, and Joey peeping up the inside, not going to make the move. Is he quite? He looks for it a bit late there. Definitely, I think I might not have even been looking in my mirrors at that point. It was a pretty late little pop to the inside, but everybody's gap just about stays the same, and we cross onto lap number 19, which is once again going to have a story that plays out on the back straight. The first corner, not really much going on there. Everybody just kind of settling into rhythm. Now Joey is going to try and hold us tight for just a moment. As soon as he moves to the outside, I'm going to move to the center. Ryan ends up opting to give us a push, which might have saved our lives, because although Joey is ahead going into the corner, I do have the outside, and that little push from Ryan just gave me a bit of confidence. Joey also seems to go fairly deep through the first bit of that corner, allowing me to completely slide myself ahead, and I'm going to defend the inside of the penultimate corner. Inside is king here. I have yet to really see anybody make this work around the outside and come out on top across the line, and you can see Joey doing a pretty similar thing to what we did in those past two races, ending up not getting the greatest run through that final corner, and we maintain the lead. Lap number 20, it is really winding down here. We have this lap and 3 more, so not a ton of opportunities left. They're going to start getting a bit more aggressive as well, I feel. Joey is holding us extremely tight in this occasion. Ryan is once again going to push us on the inside. Thank God. Thank you, Ryan. We're side by side with Joey going into turn 5, and Ryan making good use of this for himself as he tries to follow me through. Not quite going to be able to get it done here because he is side by side with Joey, and I think Joey's going to have this position locked in still. Valiant effort from Ryan and really helping us out by keeping us alive and in the lead of the race, and Ryan does indeed slot behind Joey through that penultimate corner as we cross on to lap number 21, which I'll be honest, not a lot happened on lap number 21, so we're going to go ahead and skip right to lap number 22, the penultimate lap. I think everybody took lap 21 as a breather because they knew that shit was going to go down across the next 2 laps. Now Joey has tried to make an overtake on us for a lot of these last laps, and it's not working out for him, so I don't think he wants to wait until that final lap to try and make that overtake, because it just hasn't worked out so far, so he needs every opportunity. Either that or he is just continuously trying this same move around the outside, and the same thing is going to happen. Ryan's going to push me up the inside. It's exactly what happened on lap 18 and 19, and I think lap 22. I'm not quite sure. There's just been so much. But Ryan once again is going to go side by side with Joey, following me through turn 5, and Joey maintains the inside for the penultimate corner. I actually pull all of the way to the inside there to try and dissuade him from making a dive that could have shuffled us back. Now Joey ends up going extremely deep through the penultimate corner, which puts Ryan on the outside for the final corner, where Ryan always seems to end up somehow, and he gets a much better run than Joey. Joey now finds himself side by side with Jeff. Cameron Best is pushing Jeff across the line as we go onto the final lap, and we're going to ride on board with Joey here as he has a pretty crazy final lap. Now everybody gets backed up on that outside line, and Joey actually finds himself slotting back into P3, so somehow he maintains P3. And what we were talking about earlier about P2 having to make that first decision and P3 having the ability to react to that decision, you're about to see that play out here in a similar fashion to what happened earlier. Ryan pulls to the outside, I stay extremely narrow, Joey pulls to the inside, and he finds just enough space, slotting himself up, and with the overspeed, he's got the inside, he's got a nose ahead going into the braking zone. It's going to be him versus Ryan through T5. I'm just trying to hang on as best as I can. I don't want to be on the outside for that penultimate corner, but it looks like that's where I might end up, as Ryan is completely ahead of us. Joey has taken the lead. We're down into P3. Ryan trying to find a way around Joey. He moves to the outside, which opens up an opportunity for me to try and follow Joey on the inside of the penultimate corner, and ultimately giving me the outside for the final corner, which is exactly what Ryan has done to me for the past 2 races on the final lap. So this was just absolutely gorgeous. How the turntables, we come across the line still in P2. Joey took the dub there, but it was a very, very satisfying P2, and overall one of the most fun races I've ever been a part of. It felt like I was karting with friends. Like, I love iRacing. Looking at the results, and fantastic stuff. Most satisfying P2 I've ever had in my life. Congratulations to Joey. Ryan, great race. We went green in iRating. Lost safety rating, but honestly, I would go back to rookies to have another race like that. It was so good. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more, check the playlist in the description, the video on your screen, and subscribe.